Feeling a lot better today, and we're coming into a 48-hour fast, and that might play a role as to why I feel so damn good cognitively, and I got a lot of rest yesterday, and this and that, yada yada yada. Intermittent fasting is all the rage here in 2024. You see countless videos online from Dr. Berg to Dr. Hyman, all these other people. They're talking about how fasting is so great for your body, but not everyone needs to do it. Women shouldn't be doing prolonged fast. Disclaimer in this video, don't go over 16 hours if you're a woman. This is majorly for men. This video is not intended to treat, diagnose, cure, prevent any disease. But what are some of the benefits of fasting when we talk about a timeline, and what are some unique benefits of intermittent fasting that aren't just burning fat and things like that, right? So when we talk about fasting, you're 12 hours into a fast. This means you haven't had anything with calories, right? You're pretty much just drinking water, black coffee, black tea, really just water, and you can have some electrolytes without any calories and things of that nature to give you some potassium and chloride and magnesium and phosphorus and calcium and sodium and things that'll help perpetuate neurological processes and physiological functioning in the body. But when we're in this state where we're forcing the body to dive into fat stores, that seems like a good thing for fat burning and promoting longevity. But how long do we need to fast to actually get these benefits of promoting longevity, which we're going to talk about here in a second? It's related to ketone bodies majorly. Fun fact and interesting to get you excited about what we're going to talk about here, because I think it's so damn cool. But when we look at the timeline, in simple, 12 hours in to a fast, well, we start to go over from breaking down sugar to breaking down fat very preliminarily, right? So it's not really a huge conversion there, and we don't see all that much benefit. When you get up to 16 to 18 hours, insulin levels drop, glycogen levels drop, and we start to produce more ketone bodies. So that's a byproduct of fat breakdown. Now, when we get to 24 hours, the ketone bodies really start to vamp up. And when we talk about these ketone bodies vamping up, well, ketones like beta-hydroxybutyrate, probably the most commonly spoken of, aren't just sources of fuel, aren't just sources of energy. They can actually have a therapeutic effect on the body and help to heal our tissues. And that is really cool. And this is some relatively recent research here that's just groundbreaking in terms of intermittent fasting. And again, this doesn't as much apply to women. I want this video to be more devoted to men, and I can't really emphasize that enough. Consult your doctor before you go on any extreme fasting regimen and things like that, if you have any health conditions especially, right? But when we get into this 24-hour period of fasting, not only does our human growth hormone spike by 5 times, some sources say even more, our BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, brain fertilizer, increases a lot, and it increases by up to 3.5 times or more, according to different sources, at a 48-hour fast. But these ketone bodies that we use for energy when we break down fat in our cells, in the mitochondria of our cells, going through beta oxidation, for those of you who are interested in the biochem, and then we get things like beta-hydroxybutyrate, which again, there are others, but it's the most commonly spoken of. We burn those for energy, right? We ran out of other energy sources, and so now we're starting to dive into fat, and we're burning that for energy, and that makes a whole bunch of sense. That would happen with fasting. But what's really interesting with these ketone bodies is they can have a positive effect on gene regulation. So what do we mean by that? Our genes are constantly being regulated throughout our entire lives. This is not a finite thing when you're born, and neither is brain cell production, right? This can vamp up with fasting. This vamps up with aerobic exercise and being less stressed and getting more sleep and increasing BDNF in all sorts of ways, right? But these ketone bodies, again, can have a healing effect. And what they do is they affect something called DNA splicing. And so really what that is in simple terms, or first I'll give you a biological definition, it's post-transcriptional modification of what was the DNA. Transcription is the conversion of DNA into RNA, and at least in its preliminary form, right? I'm talking about RNA and messenger RNA, and this video is not all about that. But it's modification of your genetic code after transcription so that you can produce different proteins from the same genetic code. And it makes sense that our bodies would work like that, as they're so complex in how our genes are regulated, albeit we don't have a robust genome as, say, like rice. Rice has twice as robust or amounts of genes, and in rice, it's like, that's super simple. How are humans so complicated? We can regulate these genes in a myriad of fashions that other organisms cannot, right? And so it's like being able to take the same thing and just change how it works. You're taking this section of that DNA and you say, this time produce this time produce that, this time produce that, this time produce that. And so when we do that, that can have a healing effect on cells. And look at the example of the damage done to the endothelium, or the inside portion of blood vessel walls in type 2 diabetics. It's shown that when these ketone body levels really raise, and this is to account a lot for that anti-aging beneficial effect that we get from a 24-hour intermittent fast, they can actually help to affect the ketone bodies gene regulation via affecting the spliceosome, which we were just talking about, DNA splicing, at the level of the endothelium of blood cells to help to heal them, which is just remarkable, right? Because we think of ketones as energy sources. And so what about BDNF, and what about metabolism, right? In general, AMP kinase. Let's talk about BDNF real quickly here first. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is like fertilizer for your brain. It's brain-derived from the brain. Neuros neurotrophic is growth factor. Helps you produce more neurons and maintains existing connections and helps to heal your brain, basically. And we haven't even talked about autophagy yet, which really vamps up at the 24-hour, 48-hour period especially as well. And I don't recommend really going over a 72-hour fast if you're somebody looking for prolonged fasting, but we'll do a whole other video on all the different times and health effects of fasting. This is more confined to metabolism, anti-aging effects, BDNF, AMP kinase. BDNF, though, we talk about brain cell production, but it's also important for your muscles. Did you know that? So BDNF, actually, increase in BDNF, that is, can help to increase not only brain cell production, but the neuromuscular connection efficacy, meaning the effectiveness of how your mind connects with your muscles to promote improved function and movement while supporting metabolism and fat breakdown local to the muscle. So it improves metabolism in your muscles, does BDNF, while improving muscular function. And again, we get these benefits when we increase that BDNF with prolonged fast. So what is AMP kinase? Well, AMP kinase, or AMP activated protein kinase, is a master regulator of metabolism in the body that is increased typically, I say typically because that's not with fasting, prolonged fasting, which is really interesting here, is increased when we're in an energy deficit. And it's increased when we're in an energy deficit, and what it does is says, okay, we need to start breaking things down for energy. We're in an energy deficit, we got to find things. And sure, that happens during fasting as well, but it's also associated with increases in, say, ghrelin levels, our hunger hormone, and increasing appetite, because our body says we're in an energy deficit here. We need to get some more stuff to give us more energy. But what's really fascinating is when you talk about 24, 48 hours, especially 48 hours into a fast, AMP kinase levels are not increased. And you would think that they would be. You would think they'd be increased. You just said, when we don't have enough energy, there's nothing in your body for 48 hours. Wouldn't AMP kinase go up because we need to find more energy? Wouldn't I get hungrier? Well, if they're not increased, and again, a recent scientific breakthrough here in fasting and the benefits of fasting shows us what? It shows us that our body is perfectly satisfied and capable of utilizing all of the things we already have in it for energy without increasing our hunger and being able to just survive off of the fats that we already have. And to me, that is just an amazing thing, because when you don't eat for a little bit, typically people, especially when you start fasting, you get this mental fog and you feel like, oh, I need to eat a lot of stuff, and it may take some time to get used to, but it's absolutely changed my life. And this is just a remarkable fact that AMP kinase levels are not elevated at a 48-hour fast, and our body can make complete do with what we have at that point. It shows us how resilient the human body is, and it shows us evolutionarily why our bodies had adapted to be able to not have food for some time, and then what they do is they vamp up our brain cell production, our muscular function, our metabolism. They increase autophagy and focus. Autophagy, auto is self, phages eating. In Latin, that's the breakdown of dysfunctional brain cells and replacing them with new, more functional ones with the BDNF production. And so basically cleaning house and making you sharper, right? And revamping your neurological, your physiological functioning overall. And when you find that food, it can make do with a lot of it at once. When you killed that deer, you can eat that food and you can absorb all the protein from one meal. Not at once, right? It's been debunked that has the myth that you can't absorb a certain amount of protein from a meal. Now, at least some studies show up to 80 grams in a meal. I'm sure it's even more in other studies that I haven't really looked at yet, but you can hold on to it. It stimulates the release, does eating all that food, of CCK, cholecystokinin, from your intestines that tells your stomach, hold up, we're going to hold on to the rest of this food until we're ready to absorb all of the other nutrition from it. And so you will be able to absorb all that nutrition, you just won't do it all at once. And so that makes sense, right? The body's extremely adaptive, and it's going to find a way to make do with it if you hadn't had food for 2 or 3 days or a day, right? And so the wonderful, wonderful effects of fasting go far beyond just burning fat. It improves your insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation ubiquitously throughout your body, and that includes brain inflammation, improves cognitive function, boosts growth hormone, may boost testosterone. And again, there are mixed results in research on the whole testosterone thing. Boost the efficacy of your metabolism, the effectiveness of it, over time. Boosts your growth hormone significantly, right? And by the way, when it boosts your growth hormone by 5 times at 24 hours, a week later, and this doesn't say you fasted for the whole week, but say you did that prolonged fast and then you go through normal life, then a week later, it could be up 1,000%. It's just improved the effectiveness at which your body can do these things. And to me, it's absolutely amazing. And here in my 30-something hour of a 48-hour fast, I just feel sharp as a whip. I feel great. I felt sick yesterday. I didn't feel good. My stomach was all upset. You saw the video we did on When Wellness yesterday. I was laying there on the couch and I was doing my best to just speak to you guys and get the video across. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to starve my body I'm going to starve the bacteria that's in me, whether it was food poisoning or whatever it was. And fasting's more effective for bacterial infections than viral infections, apparently, so it'd be good. I did test myself for COVID and flu and things like that, whatever I got. At the start, I was negative, right? So I figured, let's do a pretty safe bet. Maybe this is bacterial, maybe it's not, but let's see if I can starve whatever the hell is in my body that's foreign from eating. And I can vamp up that autophagy, and I can boost my immune function. Now, again, this isn't to say you should fast if you're sick. Fasting boosts immunity before you get sick. If you're already sick or you're about to get sick, it might not be the best thing. It could deplete your immune function. And that's a whole nother video. We would have to reference tons of different papers that talk about that. But it's inconclusive at this point for me to recommend you to do that. But I did do it for myself. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm very healthy. I can listen to my body. It sends me true signals. And I have a deep connection with my soul and my internal body regulation, and I can listen to it. And it told me, I don't want to eat right now, and what happened after was remarkable, and I'm in a great place today. So that is what we got for you guys, something that has changed my life, intermittent fasting, the clarity of mind, the improvements in body composition are just astronomical. Right, that I've gotten since I've embarked on this a few years ago. It really is. It's unbelievable. It's 100%, Ben. And you know what? We don't give our bodies enough credit, and that's a lot of the idea with chiropractic. Is I'm putting your body, or any chiropractor is doing our best, humbly. Keyword is humbly, because it's your body that's doing this. We are putting your body in the best position to function optimally. We're not changing anything. Maybe the alignment of the spine, temporarily doing our best, curve correction, all sorts of things like that. So there's less impingement on the nerves. So there's improved physiological function. There are looser muscles attaching to your spine, not pulling you in all sorts of ways. There's improved blood flow into your disc. There's reduced inflammation in your spine and throughout the body, boosting immune function, and boosting mood, all these things, helping eliminate toxins from the body that help your body to function optimally. So give your body some credit and realize that naturally it's an amazing machine if you treat it with respect. Who do we got on here? Tommy Reed, Nick, Aram, Cheyenne. It's very different for men versus women. Yeah, women with prolonged fast, they can run into reproductive issues, hormonal issues, infertility issues. You know, these are things obviously men don't quite have to deal with. We don't serve the same purpose. We're not meant to carry a child, right? And so we don't have that same sense of baggage. I really quote that because it's not that women have baggage, you know. But in terms of being able to get some benefit from fasting is very different for women. I never would recommend a woman, especially in reproductive premenopausal years, to go through longer periods of fasting. I cannot emphasize that enough. This was more geared towards men. But if you're a female, you do your own research and look into it and see if a 16-hour fast is right for you. Maybe even up to 18. That's a big maybe there. But if you're postmenopausal, then maybe you could be a little bit more aggressive. You talk to your doctor and do some research yourself again if you fall into that demographic and are interested in embarking on an intermittent fasting regimen. What's up, G-Lifts? DL, DJ, oh Shorty, Juan. I am a Feels Oats, Josh Winter. OJ, I appreciate that. Thank you. I study a lot. And I went to a lot of school. 16, Robert. Lexo J. Yeah, this is live. Yeah. Yep. This is all off the cuff, my friend. Ash, what's up, girl? Pretty lady. Sabia, what's up? Kristen Lauren, Brandon Malone, and Antonio. You guys have any more questions before I go? Oh, that's awesome, Cheyenne. Well, maybe if you share that with me, I can post that and I can, share that on my story and with other people, and, they could embark on that with you. Happy Sunday, as for now. So we got for you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, baby. Not sure where, not sure when, but you're damn right we'll see you then. Have an amazing rest of your Saturday. Thank you very, very much, and happy Wend Wellness. We'll see you.